never talked to them boys that sat on them benches. I was in the game on 4th and inches.
Now it's time to go to work.
All right. What is going on, Florida State family, Seminole Nation, and the 863 tribe? As you can see, I am not alone today. I don't know if you know who this is, but you might want to check out the hot seat on YouTube. I'm going to let him introduce himself. I don't see the goats over his left or his right, but I'm going to let him do his whole spiel. Go ahead, Smoke.
What's happening, man? I appreciate you having me. I'm the host of the Hot Seat. I'm the best kept secret in sports talk. And the ghost over my left and my right that you cannot see is over my left is the greatest basketball player of all time. As you can see, and that's Michael Jeffrey Jordan. That's over my right. I'm sorry. Over my left, that's the greatest rapper of all time. That is the notorious B.I.G. And again, I am the host of the Hot Seat.
All right. Your mic's doing some weird sounds. Talk again real quick.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but it was I don't know if it's making like a weird buzz. I don't hear it anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, it actually sounds pretty good now. All right, cool.
All right.
So, what do we do on the hot seat?
We set somebody's ass on fire.
So that's what we're gonna see here today. But I thank
sir.
everybody for joining us tonight. Hit that like button always on the way in. And I'm not gonna waste too much time here. I would like to really just get into the conversation, man. We can bounce off of each other. But first and foremost, I just kind of want to get you. I watch you on a routine basis. But for the people that maybe are tuning into you for the first time or not aware, Florida State, man, y'all, it's been a long road to where we at right now. But where did you see this? And if so, why? And if you didn't see this, why do you think we are here in year 4? Mike Norvell. I don't know, man. This year is interesting. This year could finish real interesting when you look at the way things are going. Floor is yours.
First of all, I appreciate the invite again. And secondly, more importantly, I appreciate your support, man. You've been a loyal listener, man, and I sure appreciate you. I appreciate the conversations we've had in the past. Excuse me.
Time out, Smoke. Your mic doing it again. I don't know. It's like when you talk for a short time, it does like a buzz in and out.
You know what? Let me see if I can switch earpieces. Hold on for me.
Okay. While he's switching earpieces, y'all, this is a perfect time. Let's do a quick roll call like we always do. You are on episode 95 of The Hangover, y'all, so y'all already know what the deal is. Again, hit that like button. Subscribe if you are new around here, and share the videos. Continue to grow the community. Also, you see his sign up there in the back, the hot seat on YouTube. I agree with him when he says he's the best kept secret. I think the man should have a lot more subscribers than he does. The reason I love him, he don't really care. He kind of like me. He gonna give you his honest opinion, and we need more of that. But let's do this roll call, man. Insane Mob is in the building. Terrence Phoenix, what's going on? T, Montre, Todd, KCD, Damian, J. Adams, Shine Life, Black Shear, Ronald Smith, Florida State Love, Jeff, J, Montre, Tyler, Brandon, R. Davius, Anthony, Richard, T. Murray. Let's do it. You back. Let's give it a shot.
How I'm sounding out, brother?
Way better.
All right, that'll work.
Talk some more. I think I heard it again. Hold on. Keep talking. Just keep talking, and I'll let you know.
Okay. To directly answer your question about how I sound so far.
You good?
Okay. Did I see Florida State here under Mike Norvell?
As soon as I tell
No.
you it's good, I hate to cut you off. As soon as I say it's good, it starts doing it.
You know what? It's probably the room I'm in because this is where my equipment is. So let me try something else. Hang on the line for me.
Does everybody hear what I'm hearing in the chat? Just want to be sure that if it's just my end, then I'll just deal with it. But are y'all hearing the same thing I'm hearing in the chat? Let me know.
They hearing it too?
I'm gonna let you know. Nobody's answering me yet. But if y'all are hearing the same thing, that like it's kind of like a skipping, buzzing sound. I'm not sure. If y'all are hearing that, let me know. Yeah, they're hearing it. They're hearing it.
Okay. Let me try going to another room in the house.
T-Bird says, "Smoke is the Dave Chappelle of FSU Podcast."
Hey, you'd be surprised at how many times I've heard that.
I ain't mad at that.
Boss?
Keep going.
I sound any better, any different?
I don't know. It sounds like I don't know if it's a headphone thing. Somebody says it might be a connection issue. Are you like trying to Bluetooth it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be a connection thing. That's kind of what it sounds like.
Let me try
maybe
this. Hold on.
Because it's Bluetooth. Y'all stick with it. Don't worry. Little technical difficulties ain't never stop no show. Y'all already know. Yes, a lot of people are saying that they think it's a connection thing. So, but while we wait, which is all good, we're gonna wait on Smoke because I'm very interested. I know y'all interested to hear what he has to say. Duke, y'all, what y'all thinking about Duke in the comment section, man? What are y'all thinking about Duke in the chat? Are y'all worried about Duke? I ain't worried about Duke, but I'm curious, man. Are y'all worried about Duke? Y'all think Duke is a challenge? Insane. So everybody that's not FSU.
How we sounding now, boss? Is it any different? Any better?
I don't think so.
Still getting the same noise?
Like right now, if I tell you you're good, because I didn't hear it, but I feel like once you start talking again, it might do it. It's 49 to 10. I'm gonna do my prediction. I don't know about 49 to 10, but I don't know if I'm as worried about Duke as some people personally. I think Smoke might have froze up. He probably dropped out and tried to drop back on. So we'll take him off for now. We'll bring him back when he ready to rock. 50 burger. That's what it sounds like. 35-3. I kind of like this score. 37-14. I ain't mad at that one either. I actually really like Jay's prediction right here. We ain't at that portion of the show yet, but y'all are, we're going to talk a little bit about Duke. Obviously, we don't know if Duke's playing the game, right? So Duke is playing the game. What is Duke? Duke is, okay, Smoke just came back in, but Duke is playing the game. They want you to believe that Leonard's going to play. I don't believe he plays, but I don't want to jump the gun. Let's bring Smoke back in here. All right, let's give another try.
How I'm sounding now, boss?
Man, that's A1.
A1? This will work?
Yep, just keep going, and if it starts it, but right now I haven't heard it yet.
Okay. Excuse me.
Yeah, you probably perfect.
Cool. To answer your initial question, did I hear this? Yeah. Did I envision this under Mike Norvell? Hell no. People who was against hiring Mike Norvell, and the reason why is because, and I've stated I was probably wrong about this, but I haven't wavered on it. If we're not prisoners of the moment, the person who was waving the flag of this needed to be a rebuild, right? So when Willie Taggart got fired after 21 goddamn games, I said this needed to be a rebuild, and we needed to have somebody who has experienced the rebuild, right? So I was all on board for a guy like a Bob Stoops, or just somebody who we could say, name. Who we could hang our hat on. That I was all for big name hunting. And when you find out that Florida State whipped on their first option or two, find out he was probably the third or fourth choice. I wasn't happy about it, and I'm not a splash kind of guy. I just understood the job that needed to be done, right? So I knew who Mike Norvell was, but he didn't fit the description of what I thought Florida State needed at that time. So to sit here, what are we, number 4 in the country, undefeated? No, I didn't see it under him. But I did a season preview show, and I said, and I think I was probably one of the only people who said this. I picked Florida State to go undefeated in the regular season. Looking at the schedule, looking at how all these teams stacked up against Florida State, and again, this is 7 weeks ago, 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. I didn't think Florida State played a team that was going to be better than them. I didn't think they played a team that was going to be more talented than them. And I didn't think we were going to play a team that Mike Norvell was going to get out coached by. So I thought, of course, these things can happen. And I've also been adamant about the fact that going undefeated in college football is very, very, very hard. And you do need some luck. You got some luck with Clemson. You got some luck with BC. Hell, you may even need some more luck along the way, but I definitely saw them going undefeated during the regular season.
So, okay, let's pick up. I want to stay there for a second. You saw them going undefeated. Is that because you kind of mentioned it, like just the schedule, or did you
think?
Go ahead.
The schedule, I think it was more difficult at that time when I was first thinking about this. It was, I think the schedule was harder than what it is right now. Some of these teams have shown to be fraud, or at least not as good as we thought they were. I was I listened. I was on my top of my soapbox yelling at everybody that LSU was as good as advertised, and I still think they are. I think Clemson is way better than what their record shows. I did say then at that time that I thought I needed to see something from Riley. I kind of thought that we got him at a good point, because I don't know if anybody understands how the intricacies of calling an offense to the personnel that you have. And I kind of thought Florida State was going to catch him at a good time, because who's to say how well that offense would have been clicking, or how much of a cohesive unit it would have been by the time Florida State rolled into town. I think I did circle the Pittsburgh game, because everybody has, I think everybody has, every team circles a game that you're kind of not necessarily worried about, but you don't want to take this team lightly, because it's an unfamiliar foe to a certain degree. It's not a team you play every goddamn season. It's a road game. It's up north. It's unfamiliar confines. You have to be uber focused. And again, Florida State is more talented, but
it's right before it's right before that Miami game too.
It's right before the Miami game. So I did circle that game as a game that bothers me. And to a lesser degree, it still does, but it bothers me nonetheless. I just didn't see a team because going into the season, I thought this was a team that could average 40 to 45 points a game.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, I don't think Adam Fuller is going to give up 46 points a game, right? So I was saying that I've been saying this shit all season. The defense does not have to be great. I believe it has to be complimentary, and I don't think Mike Norvell has complimented Adam Fuller thus far this season, but I did think the defense needed to be complimentary. And if he gives up 46 points, then he probably doesn't need to be DC of Florida State.
Yeah, not with this defense, not with the talent that he has overall in that defense. Has anything about this team so far surprised you?
Right. I am surprised that we haven't seen the best product yet. I am surprised that the offense has sputtered.
Kind of a good thing.
I am surprised that. Well, I look at it like this. People have been murmuring about this offense since really I think it all started against Southern Miss. Like Florida State put up damn near 70 points, but there were some people who weren't really satisfied with their performance.
Because it didn't look crisp.
Go ahead, boss.
I was going to say, because it didn't look like, even though we put up 66.
Right. It did not look crisp.
It didn't look crisp. It looked, it just looked like it was harder than it needed to be. And that's crazy to say at a 66-point game.
Right. Exactly. So that's why a lot of people probably were saying it under their breath, but I understood it. So I think that, I think after that game, I think I did a show the week following. I don't remember who Florida State played week 3. Was the BC?
Yeah, I think BC.
I think it was
Yeah,
Boston College.
yeah,
Okay,
because
so
Clemson
I
was
was one of those
4.
people
Yeah,
who was game 4, right? Okay, so after the BC game, I did a show and I was telling people it's not fair to have to expect Florida State to be in midseason form, and we're not at midseason yet.
mm-hmm.
Let them work out the kinks. Let these things. Let Mike Norvell get familiar with what he really has at his disposal, and we'll see where we are. Well, here we are at midseason, and they're still not at midseason form. We still haven't seen the best product of what this offense can be. I think, hell, Washington included, this can be the best offense in the country because there's a dynamic that this offense has that Washington does it, and that's running the quarterback. And I think the problem with this is Mike has too much at his disposal. I think, in my opinion, and I'm not saying by a lot, but in my opinion, Jordan Travis has regressed from what we saw last season. And I think there are a few things you can attribute to that. I'm okay with you using your weapons. If they're not, it's not a weapon if you don't use it. It's just decoration. So I'm okay with you going big game hunting as it relates to the big plays. I don't think the underneath things and the mid level things are being utilized as they should be because the big plays are going to always be there. I think Florida State, there isn't. After the LSU game, I asked everybody, how do you beat them? Because there's nothing they aren't equipped to do, and there's nothing they can't do well offensively. So how the hell do you beat them? How do you defend them, right? Well, the offensive line hasn't played as well as we thought it would. It doesn't mean they're playing bad, but they haven't played as well as they thought, as we thought they would. And the thing about it is, a former coach that nobody likes to talk about said, it only takes one offensive lineman to make the whole line look bad. And that's true. If a running play gets hit for negative yards, you just look at the offensive line as a whole. You're not looking at the one lineman who probably missed an assignment or whiffed on the block, right? You look at everybody and say, oh, you guys fucking suck, right? I don't think anybody is paying attention to that. Throughout a game, there are a series of things that are happening every game from Florida State. It's a missed assignment. You have to fight coaching. There's a questionable play call. There's an overthrown football. The drop passes are killing me. Those 5 things happen every game for Florida State. And it's really hindering that offense because we haven't seen the offense hum for 4 quarters. And this is a team that's beating teams by 20-plus points. This is a team that consistently scores, for the most part, over 30 points, right? We haven't seen what this team can really do. And I'm going to tell you why that bothers me. At some point I think it's after week 8 when the college football playoff rankings come out. The voters see what's going on in Florida State because they are nationally televised every week. They are seeing this team not play up to its potential. The problem with this is you are leaving your destiny in voters' hands. If Florida State comes out and takes care of business every fucking week, you cannot deny them being one of the top 4 teams in the country. But when the offense sputters and questionable calls are made and passes are dropped and you are up 17-3 against a Syracuse team, when you should be up no less than 31-3 at halftime, when those types of things happen, people take notice and they want to find a reason not to put Florida State in or put another team in. So there's going to be somebody, for example, who may have a Washington, Ohio State, Michigan, and Georgia top 4, right? Florida State can beat any of those teams, maybe with the exception of Georgia because of what they do in the middle. But Georgia's going to have a problem scoring against Florida. Scoring more than Florida State, right?
Right.
I think Florida State is at the very least the second best team in the country. But because they haven't put up I'm talking about an entire game of dominance, in which they should have done at least twice by now, you're putting your destiny in voters' hands. It's way easier to stay in the top 4 than it is to get in the top 4, right? So I'm not predicting that they won't be in the top 4 when the initial rankings come out. I'm just saying you don't want to be that 4th team that somebody's playing with. You don't want to be that 4th team that somebody's on the fence about. Show the country that you are one of the top 2 teams in the country. And I think the offense is what's really holding this team back, and that is crazy to me.
I agree a lot with what you said. I'm going to push back on two things. I'm going to start with what you just said. I don't disagree with what you're saying in premise. Like, you're right. Unfortunately, and I kind of hate it, it's not about winning. It's about winning sexy. We've devalued winning so much. A sexy loss is almost better than an ugly win. And I hate that about sports nowadays. But you're absolutely right. You have to win sexy, unfortunately. The pushback I have is I think everybody else cannibalizes themselves. Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan all got to play. So at least 3 of those teams are going to have at least a loss. Two of those 3 teams are going to have a loss. All of the Pac-12 going to play each other.
Right.
They're going to cannibalize each other. I don't see Washington running the table. Right. Oregon's already got an L. USC's already got an L. So I think as long as FSU can't handle business, my point is, as long as we handle business, I think we'll hit that top 4 regardless, because everybody else is going to have at least one loss, with the exception of maybe a Georgia, right? Georgia might run the table. I think the SEC as a whole is kind of down this year. So that's my first pushback on the winning. But I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I just think, but to your point, you want to control your own destiny.
Yes, absolutely.
And then the Jordan Travis regressed take. I've been saying it for weeks that he needs to play better. I don't know if it's regression. You kind of hit what I think it is. Not only has Mike Norvell had more weapons, Jordan Travis ain't never played with all of this, man. Jordan Travis has been throwing to Johnny Wilson and Ontario Wilson and Cam McDonald, bro. And Cam McDonald was good for dropping, you know what I'm saying? Like, now Pookie was solid. Pookie was solid. Don't get me wrong, especially his last year here. He was solid. But now all of a sudden, he look out on that field. He got Jaheim Bell, who at any time, I think talent for talent, I think Jaheim Bell's probably the second best talent tight end in the country. Obviously, Bowers, that boy at Georgia.
Absolutely, I'm with you.
That boy at Georgia is a monster.
I'm with you.
But Bell has all the talent in the world to be the second best guy in the country. Obviously, Keon's a freak building a lab. Like, Jordan Travis is now looking at all these, and we ain't even used. Unfortunately, Winston Wright's gone, but we weren't even using him. Dustin Hill.
He wasn't seeing the field.
Right. So Jordan Travis ain't never seen all these weapons before. I think he's getting accustomed with figuring out, how do I use these guys? How do I use Morlock, who's 6'7"? You know, how do I use all of these guys? How do I continue to? If you notice this year, they really don't do the wheel route with LT out the backfield that much no more. That's almost been, that used to be a staple. They don't even barely call that no more. So I think Jordan Travis is getting just used. I don't know if he's regressed. I think he is. He does need to play better. I just think he's trying to get used to figuring out how and what situations do I target certain individuals. What say you?
Okay. So here's my rebuttal to the first point. I think that the issue with this is there are a lot of people right now who want Washington to leapfrog Florida State based off of strength of schedule, well, quote unquote strength of schedule. And when I say strength of schedule, I'm only talking about who they beat last week, which was a very impressive week. I mean, a very impressive win, right?
I think good win.
They have one good win, but I've seen things here over the last few days, especially that people really want Washington to leapfrog Florida State, right? I don't think they would, meaning the voters, because let's be honest, politics does play a part in this and viewership does matter. Florida State is a national brand. So when you're talking about college football playoff, more people are going to watch if Florida State plays versus the Washington. But you have a guy right now who's the front runner for the Heisman Trophy, right? So you got that plan. You got that in that back pocket, right? You have teams who are knocking on the door behind Washington. You have a few teams who could win out, and, you know, you probably wonder where you put them. I'm saying Florida State needs to do a better job of fending those teams off. Only, again, because you want to control your own destiny. If you go out there and dominate, there is no question, right? You go out there and dominate, you have what you will have beaten, what is it, 2 SEC teams?
Clemson.
But I'm not talking about the ACC championship.
And
You
Clemson should be
Clemson's
ranked. I
probably
don't
going
care
to
what
win
nobody
out.
says. I don't see how Clemson's not ranked. If I'm being honest with you,
I agree.
I don't understand that.
I agree.
But Clemson,
And
I mean Miami, but we don't know how that team finna start. Look, I don't know what's going on over
there. They at the start of the season, I thought Miami was going to be the third best team Florida State played, and I still think that. But they are. That's one of those teams where you really don't know what the hell you're going to get.
Nope. Week in and week out.
Week in and week out, man, because you see the pieces are there. And then sometimes, like I watched most of the North Carolina game, and I just thought to myself, how the hell did this keep happening on the back end? You have two studs at safety. It's funny business going on over there, man. I'm not even talking about the Neil shit. I'm just saying you have guys on offense who are playmakers who don't get enough looks. That defense got some players, man.
You can't keep changing. You can't keep changing coordinators.
That I don't think people
that
are
entire
aware
staff,
of how big of it.
Yeah, that entire staff changed.
The sole reason why I had such high expectations for Adam Fuller this season was continuity. This is your fourth year there. A lot of the guys don't have to think; it's simply reacting to what you've been telling them to do for 3 years.
If you can't do it in year 4, bro, then you got to go.
You probably don't need to be here.
Yeah.
But like you said, it's a lot of coordinating going. A lot of coordinators being. What is this? TVD's third offensive coordinator, I think.
Yeah, Lashley. Lashley, Gaddis, and now this guy. Yeah.
So different verbiage. They're probably outside of Lashley, they're probably doing the same thing over the last 2 years, right? But the verbiage is different. I've seen them do some of the same things. I'll put it that way. But it's just different. You know what I'm saying? And just because some of the players are the same, you're dealing with a guy who might not call the players in the sequence in which they need to be called, which is one of the gripes I have about Mike Norvell this season. And as far as Jordan regressing, here's what I mean. One thing he did last season was simplified, and I think that's why he was as efficient as he had ever been. His footwork is a tad bit different, and I'm going to tell you that based off of I've never seen him miss this many deep balls. Even when he wasn't the Jordan Travis that we know him to be right now, he has overthrown too many, and I've never seen him do that.
That's a good point.
I think a lot of people are upset that he doesn't attack the middle of the field enough. I think he does more than he's given credit for. I think people are being overly critical of him trying to use his weapons. I don't want to be one of those people, but I do think there's an untapped piece of the juggernaut, and it's the middle of, not necessarily the middle of the field, it's the the intermediate passing game, right?
Yeah.
I think that piece of it, because if Florida State chose to, they could nickel and dime you to death, and there's nothing you could do about it. Like, because you're not going to be able to keep up with Toa Philly out of the backfield, like you mentioned earlier. Whether it's a Z route or whether it's a real route, he puts a lot of pressure on safeties and a lot of pressure on running backs, right? All that does is open up the run game, which you've been trying to get going for 6 goddamn weeks. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think that underneath game is going to soften up a lot of what you see for over the top and underneath. I think if they were to put more emphasis on that, and that you can do that. Ideally for me, it would have been with a guy like Winston Wright. I remember seeing him. I was at the LSU game. I remember seeing him. He didn't get a lot. He probably got maybe 2 targets, but I remember keying in on him specifically. The guy was getting space. When I listen to these other podcasts and these other publications talk about he still hasn't, he's still not who he was. Well, goddamn it, I would have loved to see who the hell he was. Because from what I saw, he was smoking LSU. He just wasn't getting the looks, right? This play was designed to go here. This play was designed to go there. He was doing a really good job of getting separation, right? So I think there's a piece of what Florida State can do that will open up everything, because right now it's boom or bust. Even in the run game, I don't think they have run plays. Well, I haven't seen that. That's not fair. I haven't seen them have a lot of run plays that are just designed to pick up 5 or 6 yards, right? If Florida State is at 3rd and 4th or less, every defense in the country should be in trouble. every defense, because there are too many things Florida State can do to you in a third and short situation, right? I've always been a proponent of the most important down in football is second down, because it dictates what else you're going to do. I don't give a shit what you do on first down. Throw the ball, throw it deep, run it. I don't care. It's what you do on second down. Because with the weapons that Florida State and the personnel they have at their disposal, third and short is, as a defense coordinator, I pull my hair out. Well, I don't have any hair to pull out, but I would literally go crazy because I wouldn't know what the hell to do, especially based off how they line up. Because you've seen a lot of them, you see them use a lot of Jaheim Bell as a third receiving option. But a lot of it is a decoy simply for blocking. He blocks his ass off on the perimeter, right? There's so many things they can do that I don't think they've tapped into, or at least they don't utilize enough, that will make this offense unstoppable.
Yeah, man, I don't make that's you hit the nail on the head with a lot of stuff. Like I can't really rebuttal any of that. I think one of the things that have kind of, because you pretty much hit up all the passing game, but the running game has been very interesting to me. And my sort of take on the running game is really, and look, you ain't gonna get no Alex Atkins slander up out of me. It's just not gonna happen.
Same here.
But I don't like how much we rotate our guys, and I understand why they do it. Like Keandre Jones should be a permanent starter on this offensive line, and I don't care what nobody say. And as far as I'm concerned, if everybody was healthy, 63 could move to the bench. But anyway, what's your thoughts on what I just said?
I'm with you. Keandre, listen, I remember seeing Keandre Jones against LSU. I remember seeing them against Southern Miss, which isn't fair. But you know what? I think Mike Norvell has this thing that he wants to reward people for coming back, right? Mm-hmm. It's easy for me to say because I'm not in that seat. I don't care about that, right?
right.
I don't get paid to make you feel good. You came back on your own admission. You came back because you wanted to, right? My job is to put the best product out here to win football games. Keandre Jones helps the running game. And you're not going to tell me Emmanuel is just that important to the passing game, because I've seen him get beat to sleep on a few pass plays. So I don't get it and I remember speaking about this on the show a few weeks ago. I remember when Alex Atkins came into the season saying, we have a lot of depth. Okay, great. Yeah, we're probably going to use 7 or 8 guys. And I got to thinking to myself, are you talking about basketball or football? What the hell is this?
That's what somebody just said.
Right. Why the hell would you have a 6-man on the offensive line? You have one in case somebody gets hurt. But the one word you'll get tired of me saying is continuity. I am real big on chemistry and continuity. You build that by repetition. Even if it becomes redundant, you build it by repetition with the same 5 guys that you can get out there as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, listen, I don't want to cut you off. I don't want to cut you off because I'm going to let you finish. But I think continuity on the O-line is something some people don't understand. The O-line needs to be able to communicate without verbally communicating. Meaning, I need to know how you move, when you shift, when you're gonna step here. So I'm not tripping. Like that what makes an O-line, dare I say, elite, right? And we throw that word around too much. But being able to communicate on that level, and I tell you, I just don't like how much we just,
I was one of those guys who was on Norvell's head about how much he subbed and how many different packages he used, and about the number of guys he had getting snaps per game. And you've seen him reel that in the last 2 weeks. The offensive line, they should be built for whatever the duration of the game asks for, right? This isn't a series for you to get some blow. You're a lineman, right? I've never heard of that. And I'm not saying it's never happened. I'm just saying I've never heard of it. You get your best 5 out there, and I would be more comfortable with Byers being inside. If you're going to have him out there, get him inside. But like you said, I'm not opposed to him riding the pine either once Bless gets healthy. But I think this is good, because if there are some kinks you're working them out right now versus having to work them out later. I think that's the only positive I can take from it. But the running game is a key cog to what you want to do. Some run plays are designed just to get you 5 yards. Get the 5 yards. One thing they are in the run game is they are very, very predictable. And you can run counter, right, if the defense allows you to. The defense overloads to one side of the field, or they know what's coming. Good luck running counter. I've seen Florida State running backs get hit at the line of scrimmage far too often. That's either because of poor line play by somebody, or it's because they knew what was coming and they decided to shake your hand when you got to the door.
Yep.
I think Mike Norvell has a tendency to get cute. That's been his MO since he's gotten there.
That's true.
The game last week against who did we play last week?
Syracuse.
It's escaping, but whoever we played last week, Syracuse. The 4th and 1 play, right? Some people don't have a problem with the wild card play with Jaheim Bell. Okay, great. Fact of the matter is, he went the wrong way. If the guard is pulling left, right? I'm not a lineman. I'm not a running back, but I know a little bit about a lot. If there's a lineman pulling, you don't go the opposite. That wasn't a counter. I've never seen a wildcat counter, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that existed. You got a guy going left, you went right. This is what you call. And I'm sure they practice it a ton, right? Or they practice it enough for him to know which way to go. Bell went the wrong way. There was a pulling guard. You didn't follow the pulling guard. It was 1 yard. One. You got Kazai Holmes back there who can ring somebody's bell. You got even when I've seen Trey Benson fall on his legs and still moving, right? Right. You decided to put a tight end back there who has running back experience. Okay, great. But his position says tight end.
Yeah, I don't like when they hand off the bell. I'm going to be honest with you. We can get rid of the wildcat as far as I'm concerned because the offense doesn't need – usually teams that run it.
They need it.
They need it. We don't need it.
We do not need it.
So there was two plays last week that really pissed me off. It was that, what you talking, and then that sweep we did with your boy, number 5, Span. I'm so tired. I'm tired of them trying to get Span involved. Like, okay, I get it. But at some point you look and you go, he just maybe not what we thought maybe he was, you know what I'm saying? Or could have been. So
there's something there with him, and I think there's a lot of untapped potential, and Mike Norvell probably has his own personal project to tap into that potential. I would rather see him do something down the field.
Right, throw him some goals.
Rounds. Throw him some goddamn goal routes, man.
Like, what are we doing? I don't need the sweet play.
Right, he's long as hell, fast as shit, and I've seen him jump. He can jump out of the damn building. Let's get him something down the field because I don't know if there's something lacking between the ears, but for some reason or another, he isn't getting as much burn as an actual true wideout as he should. I don't know. I've never paid attention to him blocking this season. I think he missed the game this year, as a matter of fact, but I haven't really paid attention to him blocking it. I know how they feel about wide receivers not blocking.
Yeah.
But it's almost as if the same issue they had last year in the red zone is probably not as much of an issue, but just getting pushed inside the 5 and goal line situation, the linemen not getting pushed. I think they are, but you remember last season, he had to get real cute with that goal line to go offense because the offensive lineman just couldn't blow guys off the football. You hear a lot of commentators over the last few games talk about the number of starts each starting offensive lineman have had. What you haven't heard them say is how many starts they've had together, like you alluded to earlier. I think that is really important. Get your best 5 in there, whoever they may be at those positions, and you let them rock. Stop finding a goddamn 6-man and moving guys around. It's cool. It's cute to say that Darius Washington is a Swiss Army knife of a lineman, but he shouldn't play unless somebody's hurt. It's just my opinion.
I don't know. I would take Darius Washington over Byers, right? Like if you told me you were switching out tackles right now, I'd probably take that. But that's just
I'm okay
me.
with that.
But I know it sounds like we 6-0 and
right.
Yes, we are nitpicking a little bit, but y'all get it. Like we just talking about things that we can improve on.
You know what? But this is the thing about it. and this is what I was speaking about a few minutes ago. When you talk about the voting for the college football playoff, you're going to be nitpicking undefeated programs. This is how the conversation is going to sound. This is what it's going to sound like. This is how it goes, right?
Yeah.
And my whole beef was, I don't need anybody to nitpick Florida State to where they fall out of favor with somebody. When you're talking, like, it's kind of like a LeBron versus Jordan conversation. If you listen to one person versus the other, you'll think that one of those guys suck, right? When in all actuality, neither one of them do. They are immensely great, right? Same thing when you talk about undefeated football teams, when you got 2 or 3 teams vying for one last spot, you have to undress those teams for what they are. And all the time, I said it before, women lie, men lie, numbers don't lie, but numbers don't tell the entire story. So being that you're going to have people who probably are actually putting eyeballs on these games, you want to look as good as you can, as many times as you can.
Love it. Love it. So that's the offense, y'all. But now I got to get to your favorite person. And I want to know this defense. Let me give my take.
Yeah.
Adam Fuller at times has frustrated. One thing I can say about Adam Fuller, man, he'll have those first halves where we got Cade Klubnik looking like Trevor Lawrence then jogged out of the tunnel. But he never fails me in the second half. Right. I don't understand it. I ain't mad at it. But that second half come, and he's literally shutting teams out in the second half.
Right.
What's your take? Like, what's your take on Fuller, the defense as a whole, weaknesses, strengths? Let's go.
You know what? This is why shows like this is important. This is why shows like the hot seat is important. This is why shows like the Listen Up podcast is important, because
shout out to Sam and Brandon.
Shout out to Sam and Brandon. This is why these types of shows are important, because, as I said before, there are no sponsors here. We can tell you whatever the hell we want to tell you, right? And whether you agree, right? You know what I'm saying? So whether you agree with it or not, it is the unadulterated truth, or at least our truth.
Yeah.
They will tell you, because of how Florida State looks in the second half, it's good enough, right? They'll tell you that because based off the numbers, Adam Fuller has done an outstanding job this season. Now, let me give this disclaimer. I have no issues with Adam Fuller, at least not any pressing issues, right? But you just made the point that I think everybody who, like myself, isn't the biggest Adam Fuller, even if you just have eyes and you can assess football. My biggest fear is, and I said this maybe 2 weeks ago, Florida State is going to let a team hang around, and they're going to end up kicking Florida State in the nuts. It's going to be because Mike Norvell and Alan Fuller are not playing complementary football to one another. There's no I think everybody who watched their Clemson game saw what you just said. I had seen Cade.
He's not
probably 2 times. Probably I saw him play a little bit against Duke, and I saw him the week before that Florida State game. It escapes me who they played. Listen, man, I just knew he was going to give Florida State opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And I'm going to tell you something I learned really, really quickly. One thing we need to stop doing is looking at a team and how they look against somebody else and expect that team to look the same way against Florida State. Because goddamn it, one thing Florida State is going to do is give you a chance. Truth be told, they gave Syracuse a chance. They gave Syracuse a big chance in the first half. That game is the halftime should have been 31-3, 38-3, but we're talking about defense, so let me not ramble. Looking at Alan Fuller, I'm not expecting my expectation is not dominance, right? I don't want him to be dominant. I said in the beginning he didn't need to be dominant for Florida State to reach his goals. But goddamn it, lesser quarterbacks should look just that, as lesser quarterbacks. And people get on my ass about it when I say that we don't defend dual threat quarterbacks well. Had that game went on 5 minutes longer, BC would have beat us. Had they had 5 extra minutes, they would have beaten us. That kid looked outstanding. What was
bro.
that? His second start. That kid looked
Oh no,
outstanding.
but go them numbers. He had Lamar Jackson numbers on us, bro. He had like
He
300
had
yards and
Lamar
100
Jackson
yards
numbers, man.
and 100 yards rushing. Like it was ridiculous.
That made no sense. I didn't know what I was watching. And great, you know what? I think this is probably me being a prisoner of the moment, but I think that game against Syracuse was probably the most well called element for the game I had
Yeah,
seen.
by far.
And I think last season he got handcuffed, or he was hamstrung by the front line not being what he wanted it to be, in the sense of it being weak in the middle. Lovett didn't play a lot of snaps. He didn't play a lot of games. He was hurt. There are some people who will tell you that Florida State should have, if Lovett would have played, they would have won more games. They had enough to win. Getting off topic again, but this season I don't see it. I don't get it. There are stretches when that defense looks very lethargic. Maybe lethargic isn't the right word. There are stretches this season where their defense looks suspect, and they shouldn't, right? You have two good corners on the outside, which I would think would allow you to be a whole lot more aggressive. And if you aren't as aggressive, my assumption is you don't have that much faith in those corners. Maybe he does now. I don't know, because last game against Syracuse, he was really aggressive. He looked amazing in the second half against LSU.
Did that surprise you?
Scored, I think they scored 7 points in the second half. That was garbage.
Did it surprise you? Speaking of not LSU, but Syracuse, that he came out the gate blitzing? Like he didn't wait till the second half. He came out the first quarter and started blitzing.
He didn't wait. Listen, again, I don't know everything, but I know a little bit about a lot. You want a quarterback to perform poorly, you make his ass uncomfortable. That isn't hard. And I think it's taken him too long to realize he's not going to have the pass rush from his fourth down lineman as we all thought he would, right? Yeah. It took him 5 games to realize I'm going to have to apply pressure using more than just my fourth down lineman, because they're not getting to the quarterback as quickly as I think they should. But also the game he's just calling much plays for the defensive ends, whether it's playing defensive, where it's playing DE contain, or he's not allowed them to rush up field, right?
Yeah.
You're handcuffing them, because the expectation was you got Burst on one end, you got Peyton on the other. They should come screaming off the edges. We see them holding up the tackles a lot of times, right?
Yep.
And it makes you wonder, what the hell are you doing? Because all you're doing, to me, is making a quarterback comfortable, right? Even with the injury to Dent over what did he miss, a game or two? It was evident that nose wasn't it, right? And you saw Hussey play more against Syracuse, but you guys know these players better than we do. You see them practice, you know what this person is capable of versus that person, right? And you have to give them a chance to see how they're going to perform, but it was evident. It wasn't hard to see.
I think
looks like.
I think when 12 had that game, I think you're right. They see these kids in practice and whatever, but you also have the kids that have been there that you want to still, like, you don't want to pull them the first opportunity. So I get all of that, but
right.
When Hussey came out there against Virginia Tech with that performance, you couldn't deny him anymore. You had to put him on the field after that. And that's why he played so much against Syracuse. And I think going forward, they might as well just make him the starter next to Akeem Dent, because that's the best tandem. No knock on Shaheem Brown, who actually had a great game last week too. But
He did.
I like him kind of rotating more so than just being a full-time starter. But I think going forward, you're not going to be able to deny Hussey.
Right, you really have to have, like, what is your identity on defense, right? Like, what is it? Because right now, after Game 6, we're in the middle of the season. The bye week is gone. We still don't know what the identity is. I'm all for hurrying up a quarterback. That I believe they probably give running backs whatever they're going to give them, right? They don't think a running back can beat them, and until that happens, okay, fine. If that's your philosophy, right? If that's how you're going to go about doing things, then schematically you should probably do things more to make quarterbacks uncomfortable. Whatever that is, whether it's disguising your fronts, doing more shit pre-snap. I don't know, but you should do more shit to make the quarterbacks uncomfortable, because if you don't, we're going to have, I cannot stress this enough. They don't pay Adam Fuller to be good for 2 out of the 4 quarters. They don't pay Adam Fuller half a check to be a defensive coordinator for half a game. He gets a full paycheck to coordinate the entire game. I would love, no offense to Renardo Green, but last few games, AZ should probably be out there more. No, and it's kind of hard to say bench Renardo, right? So I'm not saying that, but I do think, to be personally honest with you, I thought AZ Thomas should have been starting. He should have got burned at safety over Shaheem Brown during the spring.
I said that.
Did you? Yeah. Yeah, I was a big.
Like I said, if you're gonna move anybody, I would move AZ to safety.
Yes, leave. I was really talking about managing those out, because I didn't think he fit in that slot anymore. When you saw what Greedy was doing, and you look at the guys behind Greedy, everybody's real big on Edwin Joseph, so let's get him some burn when he's able to get some. I didn't see a place for Knowles in their defense.
I didn't realize they was going to move Jerry in inside, where he's actually been fairly decent.
He has, and he said that last season he preferred to play inside, but I what, I believe it when I see it. And last season he played decent. This season he's looked much better. So the back end, for the most part, it seems pretty solid. Football 101. If the back end is solid, that should make things easier for the front end. Florida State hasn't produced a lot of sacks. They haven't produced a lot of turnovers, so it makes you wonder what's going on with the front 6 or the front 7.
Yeah, and vice versa. If your front's good, your back end is going to be better. I mean, that's what defense is, right?
Right.
So ultimately, I think the defense is, if we continue how we looked at Syracuse, I like where that defense is headed.
Absolutely.
So
and that's like I told you, it's all about playing complementary football with me. They should complement one another. Mike shouldn't put them in situations in which there are so many 3 and outs. Mike shouldn't put them in situations in which he goes for it on 4th down on his own goddamn 30-yard line. Not saying he's done that this season, but we've seen him do it before, right? You want to put these guys in the best position to be successful. So I never thought you couldn't give me the money to pay the stuff you'd sell me to tell me that my issue would be with Mike Norvell at this point of the season instead of Adam Fuller. I'm not completely happy with Adam Fuller, but again, like you said, we're nitpicking. The only thing I can say about Adam is what I've said. He doesn't call a good 4 quarters. Okay, great, because the expectation isn't to be perfect. My biggest gripe is Adam Fuller. Is Mike Norvell, and I cannot believe I'm saying that, which is probably why I just messed it up. I can't believe that my biggest issue with this team is the utilization of personnel and the play calling from Mike Norvell.
Because you look at it like Virginia Tech, you probably should have been up more than you were.
Yes,
we're strictly speaking halftime, right? No doubt against Syracuse, we left like 14 points on the board at a minimum in the first half. I was very frustrated there. So you're right. I actually think at times the offense has failed the defense more than vice versa.
And so you know what? Go ahead.
I was going to say one position group that you didn't mention was the backers. I'm curious on your opinion on those linebackers.
Lundy has played much. You've seen the transformation of his body. And Lundy has played much better than I would have anticipated. I thought he hit his ceiling last year. But I think they've been average at best. I think Tatum looked really good against Clemson. I think you get a good level of consistency out of 4, but they've been average. Like, they haven't wowed me a lot, but they also haven't been the reason why the defense sputtered to me. I haven't seen a team just literally run all over Florida State. And when they've been put in coverage, they've been surprisingly adequate. So I don't have an issue with them. I am really, really anxious to see Blake Nicholson get out there and get some more burn. His potential is off the charts. But they are really thin there, and they got some work to do after this season. But I don't have an issue with them.
Okay. All right. Duke. Duke is on the horizon. Florida State has never lost to this team ever. I think it's 19-0 all time versus Duke. But Duke has maybe the best team they've had since
Ever.
in a long time. Yeah, ever.
As far back as we can remember.
Yeah, ever. So, your takes on Duke in this Florida State matchup. I believe it's a homecoming for Florida State. Homecoming at night and Duke. I mean, listen. If you want to just skip to it, if you want to just, I think Duke is a very solid coach football team. I actually think Elko's a hell of a coach. And,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My hope is that like they don't fire Billy or something and he goes somewhere like that. Like go somewhere away. We don't need Elko in Gainesville. But I think Elko's a hell of a coach. And with all that said, I don't think Leonard's playing. And if they do play him, I think that's a terrible mistake because he's not going to be what makes him good, in my opinion, which is his legs. And if he can't move, he's going to be a sit and dunk farmer and Fisk and the boys. They're going to eat him up. So with all that said, I think solidly coached football team, especially defensively, man. They play really sound assignments defensively. Like they do, they're always in position defensively, always in position to make the right play. But I think they lack the talent. And I could see a strong first half, but I think ultimately Florida State will pull away. I ain't gonna get into prediction yet, but what's your takes on Duke just for the season and then in this game?
They haven't surprised. I think they surprised a lot of us with the first game, but this is the team that we thought we were going to see. Let me say this: whether Leonard plays or not, whether he would have been 100% or not, that's not my concern.
Okay.
Right now, my concern would have been, and more so now than ever, is that defense like to muddy things up. They like to make it really, really murky. And like you said, they are always in position. You talk about a well-coached bunch of players. My goodness. They are always in the right spots. That bothers me because in my opinion, it's not fair for me to say Florida State's offense is sputtering. It's just not meeting whatever my expectation of them is. But I don't think that's a team you can miss 2 touchdowns on in the first half of a football game and expect them not to score in the second half or expect to win 40 to whatever. I don't think they're that kind of football team. I don't think they can beat you, but you just heard me speak a few minutes ago about letting the team hang around. If Leonard were healthy, this would have been one of those teams that can come back and kick you in the nuts. My issue is how much will Florida State help them defensively, right? How many drop passes is Florida State going to have against their defense? How many overthrown deep balls are you going to see Jordan Travis have? How many head-scratching I want to call them bad play calls because I think every time we see a play call that doesn't work, it's a bad play call. But how many head-scratching decisions is Mike Norvell going to make with the play calling? What is the personnel going to be? Because you've seen him. You look at some of the drops Benson had last week. That should have been toward Philly catching those, in those plays, right? So you wonder how much is Florida State going to assist the Duke defense by doing inexplicably stupid stuff.
I will tell you this: to that point you just made, we can't turn the ball over. That's ultimately what killed Clemson. Clemson beats that team if they don't turn the ball over. We cannot turn the ball over.
Man.
Yes, and 3 and outs.
Like a drum.
And 3 and outs are turnovers. We don't need those 3 and outs. So if we can be consistently listen, I don't care if we got a dink. One thing about Duke's defense that I will say, I think they're very good at stopping the explosive play. You can dink and dunk that team all the way down the field.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead,
and that's what I was just speaking about earlier, thinking like there's a portion of this team that's been untapped, and that's the dink and dunk prowess it could have. But yeah, you said a lot, man. You don't want to turn the ball over against that team, and I said that on the show after they after they beat Clemson. If Clemson holds on to the football, they beat them going away. You don't want to help them. I think I was talking to somebody about this, and I was telling them that to me, the biggest drive killer, the biggest thing that stalls a drive to me is a drop pass, not a pre-snap penalty. I'm cool with holding because that's effort. I can't say I'm cool with a false start. A false start at home is nuts, but I'm cool with a holding because you're trying, right? I'm cool with a block in the back. You're trying. You weren't smart about it, at least you were trying. You dropping the pass, what that ultimately does is it takes away a down, right?
And it's deflating. It's deflating to you, and it's deflating to that quarterback who's like
you talk about sucking the air out of a stadium.
Yeah,
dropping because Benson dropped a touchdown last week, right? So because dropping the pass on 2nd and 10 is worse than a 2nd and 10 holding call because it's still 2nd and 20. Once you drop that pass on 2nd and 10, now it's 3rd and 10, right? So you limit no more drop passes. Go with what works. Go with what you know, because this isn't the type of defense you can experiment with. This isn't the type of defense you can play around with. Like I mentioned earlier, Mike Norvell has shortened his rotation because I've been a proponent of, hey, listen, you want to play every guy. Cool. There's a way to do that. Get on your horses. Get out to a sizable, comfortable lead, and then you play the rest of the guys who probably wouldn't be playing to begin with, right? He wanted to play every goddamn body. He's, again, last game and a half, you've seen him shorten that up. This ain't the week to like to let everybody play. Do you leave all your deuce spans in rounds on the bench? Get Destin Hill in the game. Again, it's not a weapon if you don't use it. It's decoration. Get Destin Hill in the game because all you're going to do is open up so much more for so many other people. I have one of those things where really against a team like a Clemson or a team like LSU, where your superstars have to be superstars in order for you to win. I don't think this is one of those games, but I do think if you're ever going to play sound football, this is it, because you do not want this team to hang around. If they do, you're asking for it.
Yeah, I agree. If it's a close game in that fourth quarter, I'm getting a little worried. Right. I mean, I expect to go into halftime up 3 or something like that. Hell, maybe down 3. I don't know. I expect a close first half.
Right. Yeah.
But in the fourth quarter, if I'm looking at a 21 game, like a 21 to 21 point game, just something in the like where they are too close for my comfort, I don't know. Because Elko's not gonna have him out of position. Like I really think Duke's a well-coached football team.
And, it's a prime time game for him. He already has a bit of a swagger by beating Clemson the first game of the week. He probably thinks he can beat Florida State. And I'm pretty sure he's seen the same things we've seen offensively.
And he probably should have beat Duke Notre Dame, if we're being honest. Like, if
we're being honest, he probably should have. Listen, when you look at that first quarter against Tech, you're thinking to myself, this it. That's what we've been waiting on.
Yeah.
And then they fell completely asleep.
That second quarter,
you can't do that against a team like. But you know what drove me crazy about that after the game? There were people who get paid to cover this team without saying that they were telling you to be okay with that. Look at the totality of it all. They won by filling in the blank points. Man, I don't care about none of that.
I've gone back and forth with the people on Twitter before. I mean, they drive narratives. That's their job. We already know. Like their job is to drive a narrative and all of that.
Right.
I'm just gonna be honest in how I see things. Like you said, I ain't sponsored by nobody but myself. So I'm gonna say what I want to say. Right. For those that come in and support, I appreciate you. Hit that like button.
Yes, sir.
But go ahead, Smoke. You were saying something, my bad.
But yeah, like you said, man. Yeah, like you just said, we aren't sponsored by anybody, so we can tell you there was nothing pretty about that second quarter. And I think that's my gripe. A second quarter like that against the wrong team will leave your ass with an L, right? And if you have an L, let's just play a little look into the crystal ball. If you have an L before you get to North Carolina, and you beat North Carolina, how many more teams in front of you are still going to be undefeated? How many more teams in front of you are going to be undefeated without a conference? I don't know. I'm just saying you don't want this to happen. You don't want to have to play that game, and you shouldn't have to, right? I'd be fine with the team who is evenly matched or better than Florida State beating Florida State. Point to me somebody on this schedule remaining, even including North Carolina, who you will presumably see in the ACC championship game. We're probably getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but whatever. Who's better? Who can you say is definitively better than Florida State?
Not nobody in the ACC.
Why in the hell is Florida State struggling in pockets? Nobody in the ACC. So in pockets, why is Florida State struggling? Because let me be clear about this. I am not expecting perfection, right? I am not expecting every ball to be caught, every pass to be hit. I'm not. I'm just telling you the things that are hindering this offense are happening far too often for this offense to go into any other game with us wanting to believe that, you know what, this is finally going to be game. At some point, we're going to have to just accept that, you know what, it's going to be boom or bust, you know.
I did kind of say that maybe last week or a couple weeks ago, like at some point, you know, because I do score predictions on every week. And everybody's like, you know, 56-10. And I'm like, I think at some point we got to stop predicting these 40-point games. I think we just are what we are. We just are what we are offensively. And do we have the potential to average 40-plus points? Absolutely. But it's something weird that happens in that second quarter, and it's happened every game almost this season. Something weird happens in that second quarter where I don't know if we just check out. We just start feeling ourselves too much. We just go to sleep. I don't know. But that second quarter, we just let our foot off the gas for some reason. And that's the only reason why we didn't score, you know, more points against Virginia Tech. And we could have put up 50 against Syracuse if we really wanted to.
Really, if we're being honest, we should have gave them 50.
Yep. So do you think, okay, so with all that said, do you think Duke had, I mean, you kind of alluded to it, like you said, without Leonard or not, I don't know, you're not really worried. So Duke have a chance in this, or what's your prediction on that one?
Without him, no, absolutely not. With him, you're probably hindering yourself just as much because, like you said, you would want to believe, you would hope that with a guy who likes to use his legs, who's literally on one leg, you just tee off on him, right? We don't know how Fuller would call the game. He likes to, I don't know what's wrong with Fuller sometimes, but sometimes it seems as if he just wants to be as careful as he can and keep everything in front of him. I think he plays bend but don't break defense too much, right? So, but whether he's playing or not, it really did. Even though I am the number one guy who is petrified of a running quarterback against Florida State, I still don't think they will score enough to beat Florida State. So if my score prediction would be somewhere around 31-14.
Okay, I ain't mad at that. I'm mad at that. Yeah. I don't think Leonard is going to play. I actually think it would be a shockingly bad mistake if they played him.
Yeah.
With that being said, I'm almost looking at, like, if you told me 38-10 wouldn't shock me. Like, I think they might keep it close for a half. And when I say close, maybe it's 17-10 or something at half. But I don't know. As good as I think their coach, athlete for athlete, they can't hang for 4 quarters, I don't believe.
Right. I think ideally what you would want is to get Duke to have as many 3-and-outs as you possibly can. So by the end of the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter, that defense is just gassed. Because even if you are well coached and even if you can keep up with those guys for a little bit, the playmakers are still the playmakers, right? Yeah. So come third quarter, come fourth quarter, they are just absolutely dog tired, and that's when the stars start to shine, so to speak.
Absolutely. Smoke, I think we covered it all, brother. Unless you got something.
I believe we did.
That you want to get out there? I think we covered everything.
Nah, man, I definitely appreciate you having me on, and I'm here anytime you need me to be here, man. I'm gonna have to get you on my show as soon as I can figure all that out. But yeah, I
Absolutely.
appreciate it, man. As always, great conversation.
Once again, let the people know where to find you. Twitter, YouTube.
Twitter,
Go ahead.
yes, sir. Instagram, you can find me at the Hot Seat 19. On Twitter, same handle at the Hot Seat 19. You can type in the Hot Seat on YouTube, and I'll come up eventually somewhere. I post weekly. Usually drop something Monday night. I usually record on Sunday, but I don't get it out there to probably Monday night or Tuesday morning. Most of the stuff I cover is Florida State. But every now and again I'll tap in with another subject or another sport I want to discuss. But yeah, man, we really get down in those comments up under the videos. I get back with everybody. We always chit chat under the comments. People let me know what to think about the program, things of that nature. So it's always a good conversation to have with people outside of just talking, looking at a phone and talking to myself. So
Right.
yeah, man, I'm really easy to get in touch with. I'm really easy to find.
Absolutely. Hey, I'd be wrong if I didn't ask you about your Cowboys so far.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So about them Cowboys, how about them? Because I know I got some Cowboy fans in the comments. So what's up with Dak? What you thinking? Time to move on from Dak, huh?
I'm actually, you know what? I'm fine with Dak.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I'm
You're
fine
the
with
first
Dak.
Cowboy. First
The
Cowboy I
problem
heard say that.
is the person who, yeah, I think people who either don't know football or aren't watching the games have an issue with Dak. I think the problem is Mike McCarthy. He shouldn't have been hired. He is about as stale of a play caller as you can find. And a lot is being poured in Dak's lap. And I'll say this. Last season, you had Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator. Kellen Moore would have 5 wide, and they all be running the same goddamn route. It was some of the craziest shit I'd ever seen in my life. Kellen Moore is a great play designer. He sucks as a play caller. Going fast forward to now with Mike McCarthy, he should have never been hired. I don't know what other way to put it. When he came in, he hired Mike Nolan as his defense coordinator, who coaches a 3-4. I don't know anybody who would have disagreed with this. It takes you a full year to learn how to play a 3-4 defense if your customary is an even front defense. If you're used to playing whether it's 4-2-5 or regular 4-3, you don't transition to a 3-4 over an off season. Because first of all, you don't have the personnel. Yeah. And secondly, you got to get the personnel right first, right? And secondly, you have to figure out what you're doing, because now all of your assignments are different, right? So that was a catastrophic mess when they Nolan, he had historically bad defense. Only last one season, you promote Kelly Moore, and it just didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. Doesn't make sense now. Mike McCarthy is calling the plays. I wish he had it over to Brian Schottenheimer. The defense is fine. They built what they can around Michael Parsons. I don't have a problem with Dak. I think people don't, like, for example, they'll tell you Dak threw 15 interceptions last year. Great, fine. I tell you what, I'd throw 15 too if I had a busted thumb and everybody knew where my wide receivers were going. I'd throw 15 too, right? I throw 15 too if everybody went on defense. So I think they'll make the playoffs. That's the best. I think they'll make the playoffs.
Defense pretty legit. When they want to be, I think. When they want to be.
Yeah. I think that debacle in San Francisco was strictly them being. I think the Dallas Cowboy defense is built on speed, and the notion going into San Francisco was they were going to out-physical you. So you just saw Dallas defense flying around trying to be physical and not knowing that San Francisco switched it up and they finessed the hell out of you. You didn't see McCaffrey one route, right? You saw them be more finesse. They moved the pocket when need be. There were times when Purdy he wasn't quote unquote flushed out. He was designed to roll this way because that's where Kittle was going, right? Dallas defense just wanted to show you that we can be physical. This game didn't call for that. So these guys were reacting to nothing. They went out there and said we were going to punch these guys in the mouths, and it was more sort of a boxing match. Every time Dallas swung, the 49ers ducked and countered with another punch. Yeah. So the defense is fine. It's just they have to find an identity on offense, and they have to get healthy on the offensive line.
As y'all see, man, this man's a diehard Cowboy fan. Diehard Noel. Look, I ain't got nothing against the Cowboys.
All day, every day.
I ain't got nothing against the Cowboys.
Listen, whatever bad you have to say about Dallas, I have 10 more bad things to say about Dallas. You cannot insult me about the Cowboys. I'm probably going to agree with everything you say. Damn Dallas.
Man, that's like me and my Knicks, but we're not even getting into that. And it's basketball season starting up too, by the way. So
I'm a Bulls fan, man. So I don't have anything to tell you about the Knicks. I got nothing to say about anybody's basketball team, to be honest with you. I'm good.
Yeah, because both the Bulls and the Knicks ain't been nothing since the 90s. So
yeah, right. So now don't get me wrong, basketball is my first love, and I love it to death. But as a Bulls fan, I am very quiet about my team. I have nothing to say about Chicago.
But yeah, Smoke, I appreciate you, man. Definitely, we got to do this
I'll watch
more.
every game, but I'm good.
We got to do this
I appreciate
more.
the invite, man. Like I said, anytime.
And anytime you need me over there, you let me know.
Oh, the invite is on its way, brother.
Bet. Once again, y'all go subscribe, The Hot Seat, best kept secret in this FSU sports. And sports talk, period, but especially in this FSU spaces, man. Best kept secret. So y'all definitely go subscribe to my guy, man. All right, Smoke. I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate you.
All right. Good stuff right there, y'all. Hope y'all enjoy it. Remember, I told you I was trying to bring different people on here, give different perspectives. So I hope y'all enjoyed the conversation we had tonight. If you didn't hear, I think I'm going 38. Last week I went 38-3 Cuse or FSU over Cuse. I think I'm gonna go 38. I'm gonna stick with that 38 score. That was a nice sweet spot. We ended up getting 41. I think I'm gonna stick with that 38, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say Duke gets to 38-10. 38-10 is what I got. Players of the game. Defensively, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna be a little different this week defensively. I'm gonna go with defensively. I'm gonna say Ronaldo Green gets me an interception on the defense, and then offensively, it's hard for me to not go with Keon. But I think Florida State's gonna have a heavy dose of the run against Duke. So I'm gonna go either Trey Benson or LT. I'm gonna go with Trey, though it wouldn't surprise me if it was another running back. Tough to kind of pick the players of the game in this one. But ultimately, man, I think Duke's a tough team. I think Florida State's just gonna be too talented for it. And I do have a super chat. I didn't miss you, Jeff. I just didn't want to interrupt the conversation. But my man, Jeff, with the $10 donation, I definitely appreciate you, Jeff. He says, I'm not worried. I don't think Duke can cover our receivers. Duke's got a good secondary. I'm not going to lie to you, Jeff. I'm not saying they can cover Keon. I'm not saying they can cover Johnny. What I am saying is that they play discipline. You're not going to see any busted coverages in the back end. They're going to be in position to make plays on the ball. Ultimately, are our guys just better than their guys? Well, we'll find out Saturday. I would say so, but it won't be I don't think it's going to be an easy battle for our receivers against Duke's secondary. And they got Al Blades Jr. over there, former Miami players. They got some guys, man. They got some guys over there. But I appreciate you, Jeff, with the dodo.
Never Jeff.
But yeah, guys, that was today's show again, man. Y'all go check out the hot seat. As you can see, man, we talk ball over here on 863 Seminole TV. I gave my score predictions, gave my players of the game. At the end of the day, again, I think Duke's a tough team. I just don't think they got the horses to win the race. Tough team. They just don't have the firepower, is my humble belief there. So that's what we got. So here, I'll answer a few questions. We got a few more minutes before I check out. We'll answer a few more questions, and then we'll get out of here on this Wednesday night. Let y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Wednesday. Let's see what we got in the comment section. Jonathan says, Hakeem has arrived, but that doesn't mean he's going to play a big role yet. The wide receiver room is too stacked this year. I don't think he's arrived. I think that was just a taste. But I understand what you mean. Like, you saw it, Let Miami fans tell it. Hakeem is slow and stiff, and he ain't got no explosiveness, and he is overrated 5-star. Man catches the pass and takes it 60 or 40, whatever that was. Got up to 20 miles an hour. Jonathan says, I'm calling it FSU and Clemson win by at least 3 scores. Oh, Clemson finna dog walk that. We already know that. TVD is going to throw about 2 or 3 picks, probably have another couple fumbles. Mario will forget the knee, or his the linebacker coach will run 50 yards on the field to try to call a timeout. Something crazy will happen in Miami and get dog walked. That's a foregone conclusion. We're not even worried about that. We're not even worried about that. We smacking Duke. I don't disagree. Did Hakeem burn his red shirt? Yeah, I think he's already played 4 games. I don't think they ever planned on red shirting him, but I'm pretty sure he's already played his 4 games. I think our D is stifling this Saturday. I think our defense is going to be pretty good too. And that mainly is, again, I don't think much of their – I believe Duke beat NC State last year completing like 4 passes. I think their starting quarterback – matter of fact, I'll look that up real quick. Duke and NC State. I think the guy was like 4 for 12 or something stupid like that. Right? I'm basically what I'm saying is I don't fear this backup, whoever he may be. Yes, this kid was 4 for 12 for 107 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interceptions. Like 4 passes. Now, I mean, you got 100 yards and 4 passes. It's kind of impressive. That's 9 yards a pass, or you average 9 yards of completion or something like that is what it says here. But, bro, I'm not worried about that. And if Riley Leonard plays, I'm not worried because what makes him special is his legs. Guess what? There's no way he's running on a high ankle sprain. So I'm not worried. I think our defense is actually going to be put in a pretty easy spot, if I may say so myself. Right. Not worried. And with all that, y'all, hit the like button on the way out, man, if y'all ain't hit it on the way in. As always, that'll do it for episode 95. Hangover, Duke versus Florida State, homecoming, prime time. Y'all already know what to do. Tune in. Halftime reaction, post-game reaction. Might have something coming Friday, too. Might do another video Friday. I'll keep y'all posted on that. But as always, y'all, it's your boy Polk over here on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, Seminoles, and we are out here. Go Noles. I'm not even going to touch on. You know what? I'll touch on that Friday night. Go live Friday night. We'll touch on some of this recruiting talk that's been buzzing here lately. Yeah, we'll touch on that. I'll have another guest who will touch on some of this recruiting talk. Go Noles, and I'll catch y'all another time.